Welcome to Ground Game with Cabarrus County GOP. I am Abdul Ali. Excited. A wonderful week here in Cabarrus County. Just coming off of a fantastic RNC convention. Thank you to everybody that stopped by your office here at 96 McGill Avenue that came through for the watch party. Awesome opportunity to see North Carolinians representing at the RNC. If you have not taken an opportunity to come right down here to your Cabarrus County Republican Party office, remember your office is open every Tuesday and Thursday from 3 to 6 p.m. You need to come on down here, grab you one of these Cabarrus County Republican Party t-shirts. We've got the Judge April Wood shirts. We've got Dan Forrest signs. We've got Trump signs. We've got it all. And since we're talking today with our judges, we've actually got judge cards that you can come down here and get. So make sure you pop yourself down here to 96 McGill Avenue, your Republican Party headquarters. We're going to get into our municipal calendar, and then we're going to come right back with our good friend, Judge Nate Knust, to talk about local judges and how important they are. We'll be right back on Ground Game. Here's your Cabarrus County calendar. Midland Town Council will meet on Tuesday, September 8th at 6 p.m. Concord City Council will meet on Thursday, September 10th at 6 p.m. And Monday, September 14th is going to be a busy day in Cabarrus County with your Kannapolis City Council, Mount Pleasant Town Council, and your Board of Education all meeting at 6 p.m. On Monday, September 21st, your Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners will meet at 6:30 p.m. This is your Cabarrus County calendar. Welcome back to Ground Game with Cabarrus County Republican Party. I am Abdul Ali. And today we have a very special guest with us. As you can see, I have none other than Judge Nate Knust with me. Welcome to the Ground Game, Judge Knust. How you doing, sir?
Doing great. Thank you for having me, Abdul.
Well, I wanted this episode because after we get done talking with you, we've got another guest who's going to be talking about state level judge stuff. But I think it's important for Cabarrus County to know who their judges are, what you guys do. So would you tell the folks a little bit about what you do exactly at your level of the judiciary?
Well, you've got the trial courts and you've got the appellate courts. And so at the trial level, that's usually at your local level. And here in Cabarrus County, we have 5 district court judges. And we preside over criminal cases that are misdemeanor offenses. We handle all family law cases, so child custody, child support, those types of issues. And then juvenile delinquency and abuse, neglect types of cases involving juveniles. So those are the 3 main areas that we cover here in Cabarrus County.
So you make a decision at your level of court, and if somebody disagreed with that and appeals, it goes to a higher court.
Correct.
And that would be the state appeals court.
Criminal cases go up to Superior Court, so that way they can have a jury trial. And then the civil cases, yes, they go up to the North Carolina Court of Appeals.
Excellent. Now, one of the things that I heard as I became more politically aware here in Cabarrus County was that if you got locked up in Cabarrus, if you got in trouble, you would end up spending more time than you reasonably needed to. And I found out that there were some issues, i.e. we needed additional resources for district attorneys. We needed additional judges. And I think those things have come out. Can you speak a little bit to the improvements and what we're having done here in Cabarrus County in relation to our court system?
Well, one of the things that we've done is, for example, during the COVID shutdown, is we were still running court. So, and a lot of it was done by way of the WebEx cases. So, for example, in Superior Court, the DAs and the defense attorneys and the judges, they would resolve some of those cases by way of WebEx. So that way people weren't just sitting in jail unnecessarily. If they were going to be eligible for a probationary sentence, they would begin their probationary sentence outside of jail. And so even at the district court level, we bring folks around and make sure that they're not serving a longer legal sentence than they could possibly serve. So we've got mechanisms in place to make sure that folks just aren't sitting in jail unnecessarily.
And what about this new courthouse? How important do you think this new courthouse is to what we're doing here in Cabarrus County and our growth and everything?
Well, with, for example, a lot of our traffic court cases, we had to use 3 separate courtrooms in order to manage the flow of traffic on a Friday administrative traffic court date. So our courtrooms are so small because the courtrooms were designed back in 1976 when Cabarrus County was much, much smaller than it is now. So in order to accommodate the crowd of people that would come in pre-COVID, we would have to use 3 separate courtrooms, just set those aside and just funnel people and shuffle them around. And starting January 1st, because of the Raise the Age legislation for juvenile cases, we will now have a 6th district court judge. So right now the district court has 4 courtrooms and we will have 6 judges. So because we've got so many more people moving into Cabarrus County, so many more cases, our courthouse was not designed to accommodate the number of folks. And so originally the 3rd floor was vacant, and then over time they put in the DA's office and then they put in 2 other courtrooms. So we have outgrown our courthouse and our facilities in order to better serve the public. We just frankly don't have the space.
That's important for you guys to know, that in places throughout the state where there are ongoing criminal justice abuse violations, and some of that stuff has been covered by the Frederick Douglass Foundation. I just think, and we here at Ground Game thought it was important for you folks at home to understand that you have good folks like Judge Knust who are working to make sure we have a viable and fair criminal justice system here in Cabarrus County. Now, one of the things we wanted to talk about is the importance of our state Supreme Court, and you serving in the North Carolina court system. How important, could you tell the folks, do you think these upcoming, and I know as a judge you can't say too much about races, but how important is it that folks really pay attention to who's on the Supreme Court? Well,
honestly, all the races are important. I think that every single race, and I don't want to try to put any kind of special emphasis, but I mean, they impact folks in different ways at the local level, the state level, or even the national level. And so the courts, the North Carolina Supreme Court and Court of Appeals, those races are not often given a lot of attention as much as the other types of races. Mm-hmm. And the reason that those races are important is because being a branch of government, the 3rd branch of government, that being the courts, they determine the constitutionality of a lot of the laws that come through the General Assembly, as well as the orders that come out of from the governor. So the good thing is there's checks and balances, but at the same time too, those races are important because they impact those types of decisions. So it's not just the 4th Amendment and some of the other constitutional issues that come before the court, but it's the constitutionality of things that are passed by a duly elected General Assembly.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it directly from Judge Nate Knust here. You need to get out and support and vote and be engaged and understand who is running our courts, who's sitting on our benches, and who is determining the constitutionality of the laws that the Assembly passes and the orders that come from the governor. I also, right now, want to give a shout out to the fly that has been buzzing around this entire interview. And I want to give Judge Nate Knust the award for the stone-faced fly ignoring interview of the year. So we'll be right back on Ground Game right after this.
What is happening to our country? What's happening to our state? People respected the police. We've lost that culture in our country. And because of that, we're heading down a path towards lawlessness. But we've got men and women that fight for us. They lay down their life for us. We have every reason to stand with them, not against them. So in that process, it's important for me to stand up and make sure that our leadership stands with our police officers. Her name's Elaine Marshall. She's been in office for 24 years. She's a career politician. And so I've asked her, where do you stand? She will not take a position on supporting the police. I need your help. We need to call her out. I want you to know that I stand for the blue. I'm E.C. Sykes. Harmonic to being your Secretary of State. God bless you, and God bless North Carolina.
Welcome back to Ground Game with Cabarrus County GOP. I am Abdul Ali, and I want to thank our good friend, Judge Nate Knust, for stopping by and talking about how important what he does as a judge is at the local level. And as promised, we've got another special guest with us here on Ground Game to talk about how important our appellate courts, a Court of Appeals, and our Supreme Court is. None other than our good friend, Sarah Newby. How are you doing, young lady?
I'm doing well. Glad to be here in Cabarrus County.
Look, and we've been working on this for a couple of weeks to bring Sarah, so it's good to have you here. It's fantastic. So you are the director of judicial campaigns for the NCGOP, very important role. And tell the folks a little bit about what you do and what that title means as far as what you're doing with the judges' campaigns?
So it's a big title for not that much responsibility.
Okay.
Just kidding. So I get to coordinate where our judges go. So we have a team of 8 conservative judges. These are them. 3 for the Supreme Court and then 5 for the North Carolina Court of Appeals. And so the goal is to spread them out across North Carolina to get the message out. They all have the same message with standing for the Constitution and our rights. And so I get to play a role in that, as well as the North Carolina Republican Party has something called the Judicial Victory Fund, which our Chairman Watley set up in order to help us in efforts to win our judges race on November 3rd.
So you touched on something that I think is important when we talk about the Supreme Court and these different levels. What is the difference for those who may be watching that really don't know too much about judge elections? What's the difference between a conservative judge and a liberal judge or a leftist judge? If you could explain that to the folks.
Yeah, that's a really key thing. And I think we're seeing more and more that role play out with conservative Republican judges versus liberal judges. For a long time, judges were supposed to be nonpartisan and their label wasn't on the ballot. But now on November 3rd, they will have R's and D's on by their names, which is huge. So to me, a conservative judge is one that follows the rule of law, applies the Constitution as it was written, doesn't let the General Assembly, or lets the General Assembly write the rules and not writing the rules from the judicial bench. That our judges should not be writing laws.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
So we talk about this difference between conservative and liberal judges. For those who don't know, tell them how lopsided our Supreme Court is right now.
Right now, our Supreme Court is a 6-1 Democrat majority. And on November 3rd, we have the opportunity to either make it, we could add 3 people on there, 3 Republicans, or it could go full 7-0 Democrat.
So, and one thing, when we talked about judges, and we said this off air, the conservative Republican choices for judge have between them 170 years of legal experience. We've got 50 years of judicial experience and 50 years of prosecutorial and law enforcement experience. That is a lot of experience. What do you think is going to be the most important thing folks need to consider when they flip that ballot over about these Supreme Court justices? Because we've got Paul Newby, who is obviously last name thing. Well, a sidebar question. How many more times can you take hearing Scooby Dooby vote for Newby? How many more times?
Listen, I literally had friends at college that would be like walking past me on the way to class and they'd be like, Scooby-Doo!
Okay. Oh my God. I know I didn't tell you you were going to ask that, but to feed off of what I was going, we have 3 on the state Supreme Court levels. Judge Newby is running for Chief Justice, Judge Phil Berger, and then Tamara Berenger. Tell the folks a little bit about each 3 of those at the Supreme Court level. I think it's really important to know about those folks.
Well, I'm going to loop them together. I think that experience matters. My dad has been on the Supreme Court since 2004. He is currently the longest serving justice on the court, and I can't stress it enough. Experience matters. Judge Phil Berger Jr. Is currently on the North Carolina Court of Appeals, and Tamara Berenger is a former senator and currently a professor as well. And their opponents don't have the amount of experience that these guys have. And I personally want justices on our state's highest court that understand what they're doing, have experience, and aren't writing laws from the bench.
That is it. People at home, when you hear folks talking about legislating from the bench, those are activist judges who are going around the state constitution and deciding laws for themselves from the bench, which we don't need. We don't need that. So how can folks get up with all of these campaigns? How do we get folks connected, especially here in Cabarrus County? Tell the folks how they can get to these campaigns.
So I'm going to say one more thing, too, that I think a lot of people don't realize is our Supreme Court candidates, which are these 3. Our Supreme Court gets the final say in some of the state's biggest decisions. So people always are wondering, well, why do judges matter? I don't see the importance. That doesn't apply to me. Judges aren't the biggest race sometimes, but I think now more than ever we're seeing how important our judges are.
Well, and you mentioned something before we go, since you said that. You have Supreme Court judges right now that are siding with pedophiles and rapists and criminals and not siding with the victims, which I think our judges really should be not only applying the law, but looking at least in my world, I'm not a judge, but at least in my world, we should be looking out for the victims of crime. So really important stuff. So tell us, how can everybody get a hold of it?
So the best way to get a hold of them is to go on NC Conservative Judges Facebook page and Twitter. And then we post about each one of them and link their profiles. Name recognition is so key for these judges. The common person doesn't know who they are. And so we need your help with pushing out their information and this slate card to all of your friends.
So listen, folks, we've got slate cards. We've got some of these wonderful looking door hangers and palm cards. Come down to your Cabarrus County Republican Party headquarters. We're at 96 McGill Avenue in Concord. Come get some information to support our Supreme Court judge and appellate court judge candidates here in North Carolina. Sarah, it has been a pleasure having you here on Ground Game, and we hope to have you back at some point.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back on Ground Game. Welcome back to Ground Game. This is Abdul Ali, and on behalf of our chairman, Scott Elliott, our vice chairwoman, Anita Brown, and our entire executive committee, we want to thank you for watching Ground Game and sharing it. Remember, if you're interested in being a part and coming to co-host an episode of Ground Game, reach out to us at communications@cabarrus.gop. My man G to the Mills behind the camera will get you all hooked up, and you can come on down and hang out with us. Next episode of Ground Game, we're going to be focusing on education in Cabarrus County and more particularly with our school board. So stay tuned. Make sure you share, like, and follow us on Facebook. Make sure you're registering at cabarrus.gop so you can get your monthly newsletter. And thanks for checking out Ground Game. Until next time, this is Abdul Ali.